calling that number. It was a long story again. I went to see Marco and Ricard on the test. I had to borrow the air ticket to go there because my wife said, look, you don't even have money to take your daughter to the exams, and you're going to go to south of France? I said, well, so I called Bob Warren, another friend, that said, Roberto, if you don't get that job, the ticket's on me. Go. And then I found a ride at the airport from a Bravo mechanic that gave me a lift to Paul Ricard at Marseille Airport. Got there, Marco Piccinini said, oh, Roberto, fantastic to meet you. Can you meet me in Monaco in a couple of days because I'm so bloody busy here? I said, okay, no problem. Where is Monaco? Anyway, Nelson said...
Roberto, can we just give some background here as to who Marco Piccinini was at that time? I mean, he was a big cheese at Ferrari, but can you remember what his job title was at the time?
He was everything at Ferrari after Enzo Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's who he was at the time.
That's how you'd sum it up.
He was everything. Anyway, I said, okay, Marco, no problem. So Nelson said, Roberto, and he saw me there. I said, what are you bloody doing here? So I explained to him the whole scenario. I said, Nelson, I just have to sell that car so I don't have to pay that money to you. And anyway, I'm almost winning the championship. And I have a secret that I'll tell you later, which was about returning the car without payment, but I didn't tell him that. So I went to Monaco, saw Marco in this big apartment. He had a butler in this apartment in Monaco. The first thing he said to me, oh, we want you to test drive for us for 3 years. That hit me like a rock in the face. My stomach, I felt sick because I remembered what Peter Wu did to me in Lotus, putting me in that scenario and destroyed my career for 5 years and destroyed all the opportunities I might have had in Formula One. And I said, no, sorry.
Really? You said no?
Yes. I said, well, I couldn't say anything. I lost words, actually, and I was shaking, and I couldn't say a thing. And then Marco said, come down, Roberto, come down. And they got me some chamomile tea, and they got me some water. And after 10, 15 minutes, my heart rate was down. And he said, okay, please explain to me. I said, Marco, back in the 80s, I had to do this thing with Lotus. McLaren, halfway in that test drive situation for 3 years, offered me a full-time drive for 2 years. And Colin Chapman promised me I was going to race for him. So I turned the McLaren drive down, which I think the Cesaris got or something, or was the drive that he had at the time. I remember having a meeting at Marlborough in London with that fellow that worked for McNally, Pat McNally.
Yeah.
And he put me a contract in front of me. He said, look, we'll deal with Colin Chapman. Leave it to us. I said, no, I need to go and talk to Colin. So I went there. He said, oh, no, you're going to drive for us. Elio's going to leave the team. You're going to drive for us. Of course, he won that race. He got the Renault engine, and he signed again. And I was out of a drive. And then Peter Wu had put me into that situation in 82. And that whole scenario came to my mind, and I was speechless. I couldn't say a thing. And I stood up. I said, Marco, thank you, but no thank you. And he said, shh, you can't just leave like that. And then he shouted at me. He said, sit down and explain. And then I explained to him, we're not Lotus. You're talking about Ferrari. I said, Marco, I will do anything for you this year to raise money so I can get to Formula One next year. That's all. I'm out of money. I need money. I will be a bitch for you if necessary to have money to race Formula One next year. Oh, I see. So he went on the phone for half an hour, come back, say, okay, you're going to drive this year for us, do the semi-automatic gearbox development because we need that to work. on the normal aspirated car. And you're going to do that until March, and then you're done. I said, no, March, I won't find anything to drive. I need I can do until December. So off he goes again on the phone for half an hour, comes back. I say, okay, we'll fix it for you. I say, okay, you're going to test for us until March because we need you until before the first race. I said, look, no, Mark. I said, listen first. Let me finish. We're going to find you a team to race Formula 1 next year. I say, yeah. What team? I say, we don't know yet. That idea just came about, but we will. Okay. But we want one more thing. We want you to become the Ferrari driver for the third year. I relaxed then. I say, how much are you going to pay me? And they say, well, I never thought you were going to say that. I said, okay. So he paid me $500,000 to become a test driver for Ferrari, if I remember correct.
Roberto, was that the biggest paycheck you'd had in your career at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge sum of money.
In America, I made like $350,000 per year in 85, 86. And what I did is I always saved money. So I kept using the money slowly just to survive, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I was able to make it. And I said, Marco, why do you want me? I said, well, we heard things about you, about technical stuff that we haven't heard from any drivers other than the real Formula 1 drivers at the time. So we really believe you can help us. So, okay. And that was John Barnard behind it all. The second year, he paid me $500,000 to become a Formula 1 driver in a junior team to be announced, which was Coloni eventually. And $1 million to become a Ferrari Formula 1 driver for the third year. So that would be 89. This was 88. It would be 89 Coloni, 90 Ferrari.
Where do I sign? I would imagine.
I signed. And they did everything for me. I became a real driver from there on. It reminded me of the days I was in America. And everything started to happen.